Hey guys, this is 3.5 equations of lines. So we're going to talk about how to graph equations and how to find the equations of lines when you have a point and a slope, things like that. So to begin, they ask us to use the slope-intercept form to graph an equation. Okay, so the slope-intercept form. Ooh, let's skip down to 5, okay? When writing equations of a line, there are two forms you may use. The forms are slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, all right? So in this slope-intercept form, that is our slope. And then this number, including whether or not it's positive or negative, is our y-intercept, or where this line crosses y, okay? Because an equation, when we have a y and an x and the x isn't raised to anything, an equation can be represented as a line, which is just a series of points, okay? So that's slope-intercept form. Y equals, and here's x. Right next to x is going to be your slope, and then the other number, the constant, is going to be where your line crosses the y-axis. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals x times, nope, m times x minus x1, okay? And what do we mean by y1 and x1? These are points, the x value of a point and the y value of a point. Y is y, x is x, m is m. So m is still slope. And while it could be the y-intercept and that x is 0, this is the x value of your ordered pair of your point. And here is the y value of any point on the line. All right. So to use the slope-intercept form to graph the equation, you plot a point on the line. The y-intercept is the easiest point to find because that is just your b on the y-intercept. And then you use m equals rise over run to generate a second point on the line. Okay, so use the slope-intercept form to graph the equation. Here, let's think about the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Notice that m is positive and b is positive, but in this example, this 2 is negative and the 6 is negative. That means that my m, or my slope, is equal to -2. So we're going to include the negative sign. And then my b, or my y-intercept, is equal to -6, okay? So plot a point on the line. The y-intercept is the easiest point to find. So my y-intercept is 0, b, right? My b is -6. So I'm going to plot the point 0, -6. I'm going to pause the video because it's going to take forever. All right, it took forever. Could not find a ruler. Okay, remember, we're starting with 0, -6. That means we're going 0 on the x-axis, -6 on the y-axis. Right here. That's your point. 0, -6, or y equals -6, or you can even say b equals -6, right? Because b is our y-intercept. Okay, now we want to look at our slope. We took care of that. -6 means 0, -6. Slope is -2. Before you even talk about 2 or rise over run, think about what it means that the slope is negative. Okay, think of slope man. A negative slope means I'm going downhill from left to right. That's a negative slope, okay? So from here, no matter what I do, hopefully, because that 2 is a negative, the line is going down from left to right, okay? Again, slope is rise over run. So rise on top, run on the bottom. That's why the formula is y minus y over x minus x, because y is rise, x is run, okay? So the number -2, if I wanted to turn it into rise over run, -2 into a fraction, -2 is the same as -2 over 1 or 2 over -1. If you put any of those in the calculator, they all equal -2. Okay, so from 0, -6, I want to go down 2 on the x-axis, right 1 on the, down 2 on the y-axis, right 1 on the x-axis. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, or I can go up 2 on the on the y-axis, but then left -1 on the x-axis. 1, 2, 1. Okay, you're also welcome to use Desmos to graph this to make sure that you're graphing it correctly. Okay, and then eventually you'll also get an x-intercept. I don't know how well I drew those lines. So, but that is the graph of the equation y equals -2x minus 6. All right. Here we have f of x equals -5x. Remember, f of x just means it's a function, so that's still y equals -5x. And in terms of y equals mx plus b, you can even say plus b plus 0, -5x plus 0, right? Because -5x is the same as -5x plus 0. We added nothing. We didn't change anything. So that means my slope, just like up here, my slope was up here my slope was -2. Now my slope is -5. And my y-intercept is 0. Good, because there's no constant like the -6. There's none of that, so it's just 0. Let's see if this is fully focused. Good. So if my slope is 0, think about it. I'm going to pause this, make my graph. What does it mean that my y-intercept is 0? It means it crosses y at 0. So we can call that 0, 0. We can call it y equals 0, and we can call it b equals 0 because y equals mx plus b. B is our y. Good. Now our slope is -5. Again, because that's a negative sign, we're thinking about a negative slope. Okay, just think about that before you even draw anything. -5, if I was going to turn it into a graph, is -5 over +1, or it's 5 over -1, either of those. Okay. Purple. Okay, so from 0, 0, we're going to go down 5 on my y, +1 on my x. That would be that one, right? Or we can go up 5 on y, -1 on x. All right. There's the graph of my line. F of x equals -5x. Good. All right. What about 5x plus 9y equals 27? Here, we want to use the slope-intercept form to graph the equation. Okay, this isn't in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to change it to slope-intercept form, and I'm going to move up here because I'm going to run out of space. So here I'm going to write 5x plus 9y equals 27, and I want it to look like y equals x plus a constant. Okay, so I'm going to move the 5x. It becomes 9y equals 5x plus 27, right? Because what did I do? I subtracted 5x, so I made a mistake already. Good. That cancels that, so I just have 9y over here. Now I have 27 minus 5x. Why did I put the 5x in front? Because that looks more like this one, right? mx is the -5x, b is the 27. However, I still need to divide by 9. I can't just leave it as 9y. It just needs to be y alone. So I'm going to divide by 9, divide by 9, divide by 9. Here, 9 divided by 9 just gives me y equals -5/9. So I'm just going to leave it as a fraction, x plus, and then what's 27 divided by 9? It's actually 3, thank goodness. So this isn't a fraction, okay? Now, what is my m? M is -5 over +9, or +5 over -9. Okay, those are the same fraction. 5 divided by -9 -5 divided by 9. They give you the same, oops, I'm sorry. They give you the same number, okay? That's my slope. And then my y-intercept, or my b, is +3. Okay? Draw the graph. Always check your units when you're drawing a graph, or when you're inputting a graph. They might be moving by 2s or something. Anyway, here we have +3. So b is equal to 3. So that means on my y-axis, I'm going to start at +3. 0, 3, y equals 3, b equals 3. Okay, it's my y-intercept. Down 5 over 9. Or up 5, left 9. That would be the graph. Hopefully it lines up. Not great at drawing these lines. Good. It was a negative slope, and the graph is going down from left to right, so that's a good sign. Okay, that's how I would graph that equation. First, I would put it into y equals mx plus b form. I would graph where y is 0, 3, and then I would go down 5 over 9, and then I would go up 5, left 9. Good. When writing equations of lines, there are two forms you may use: slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, or point-slope form, y minus y1, one of the points, equals m, the slope, times x minus x1, the rest of that other point. Okay, that's why we call it point-slope form, slope-intercept form. And then this is just standard form. Okay. In general, what two pieces of information do you need in order to write an equation of a line? You need the slope, right? And you need a point on the line. Because once you have a point and you know the slope is 2, you can just go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. You can use that point to and that slope to infer the next point. Down 2, left 1. See how this is going in the negative direction? So -2, -1. -2 divided by -1 is a +2. Here we're going up 2, up 1, up 1, up 2, left 1, up 2, left 1 is still 2, down 2, -1, down 2, -1, -2 divided by -1 is still +2, okay? Number 7 says, suppose you are given a point on a line of 3, 5. So that means my x is 3 and my y is 5. I'm calling them x sub 1 because this is point 1, my first point. Is this point in a y-intercept of the line? It is not, because remember, the y-intercept will always have 0, comma, and then the y-intercept. Because that is not 0, it's not the y-intercept. All right, I want to show you on Desmos. Here is the point 3, 5. We know it's not the y-intercept because if the line was, for example, y equals x plus 2, 3, 5 would be on that line, but the y-intercept would be 0, 2, and the x-intercept would be -2, 0. Okay, so the y-intercept will always have 0 as its x value. The x-intercept will always have 0 as its y value, just like we talked about in the last lesson. That is not the y-intercept. It doesn't cross the y-axis. Okay, using the given information in appropriate form of a line. So the appropriate forms of a line are point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Slope intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and then standard form, ax plus by equals c. This one's not going to have any fractions. Okay. So here we have m is -7, b is -8. Which one looks like the easiest form of the line to create when you have the m and you have the b? Obviously, y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form, okay? Y equals mx plus b, where m is -7. I don't know why I'm rewriting it. B equals -8. So I'm now just going to substitute those in. Y equals -7 x plus -8. My slope is -7. My y-intercept is -8. Simplify it. Y equals -7 x minus 8, because adding a negative is the same as subtracting. Good? The slope is 9/5. The y-intercept is -7. Same thing. Y equals positive 9/5 times x plus -7. Simplify that. Plus -7 means -7. Y equals 9/5 x minus 7. Good? Okay. Here we have a slope -2 through the point -4, -1. Now, I don't have my y-intercept because my y-intercept has to be 0 for my x value. Okay, this has -4 as my x value. I need 0 for my x value if I'm able to use y equals mx plus b. So I can't use that one, but I can use this one, point slope form, because I have a point and I have the slope. All right. So m is -2, right? The point is -4, -1. Remember, points come like this, x comma y. That means my x is -4 and my y is -1. Okay, why the sub 1, x sub 1, y sub 1? Because it's our first point. The x value, oops, I'm sorry, the x value of our first point, the y value of our first point. Okay, I know they only give us 1 point, but it is not. This x is the same as this x. This x is this y is the same as this y. That's why we're differentiating it. Okay, that's that. That's that. So this is my x of a point. This is my y of a point. They only give me 1 point, so it's x sub 1, y sub 1. Remember, when we're writing out slope, we have x sub 2, y sub 2, x sub 1, y sub 1, because then we have 2 points, right? This just has 1 point, so it's x sub 1. All right, remember the formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? Let's just substitute in the points we have, the information we have. We have the slope is -2. We have x sub 1 is -4. And we have y sub 1 is -1. Everything else stays the same. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x, again, minus x sub 1. So I took that equation and I substituted in that m, that x value, and that y value. Let's simplify. Y minus -1 becomes y plus 1. -2 times x minus a -4 becomes x plus 4. Good. All right, now let's continue. Or sorry, that would be in point slope form. Point slope form, the first form. Now they want us to put it into slope intercept form, the second form. Okay. All you need to do now is think about what's the difference between point slope form up here and slope intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we need y alone, and then we should just have one x value and one constant. Okay, how do we get from y plus 1 equals -2 times x plus 4 to y equals x plus a constant? Well, let's distribute that -2. Everything stays the same on this side. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 4 is -8. Now isolate the y, because we have our mx and we have a b, but we don't have y equals. We have y plus 1 equals, so I'm just going to subtract 1. I'm going to put it under the -8 because those are like terms. And what I get is y equals negative 2x minus 9. Okay, there is a way to test this. All right, if I go to my Desmos app and I type in the point slope form, I get that red line. Y plus 1 equals negative 2 times the quantity x plus 4. And then I also include the y equals negative 2x minus 9, or the slope intercept form. Those lines cover each other. That's how you know it's the same line. Okay, so just a way to check your work. Here I have the slope is negative 3/5 and a point is 4/5. So that is the same information we have here. We have the slope and 1 point, slope and 1 point. So now we know x sub 1 is the number 4, y sub 1 is the number 5, and then we know that m is negative 3/5. Okay? They want us to find the point slope form, the slope intercept form, and standard form of this line. I might just start with a new paper because I'm gonna run out of room. So we're gonna start with the point slope form because that's the easiest way to find what our y-intercept is. We don't know what our y-intercept is right now. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Good? Now just substitute in all of those points. Y sub 1 we said is 5. Slope we said is negative 3/5. And then x sub 1 is positive 4. Okay? I substituted those, but I still need to keep the rest. Y minus 5 equals m times x minus 4. Okay, simplify. Y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 times x minus 4. What can I do now? That is point slope form. Good. However, oops, it's not. That is. Do not forget the parentheses. Now we want to turn it into slope intercept form. How do we turn this into slope intercept form? We can multiply the negative 3/5 times x and times negative 4. Okay? Negative 3/5 x minus, okay? Minus, and now we're going to multiply negative 3/5 times 4. How do I turn 4 into a fraction? I just put it over 1, right? We're just multiplying fractions. You can put the minus here, or you can put the minus with the 4. It doesn't matter, okay? That stays the same. Y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 x. Negative 3 times a positive 4 is a negative 12. 5 times 1 is 5. And then we still have that minus out in front. Okay? Or if we had put the minus with the 4, then it would have been negative 3 times negative 4 is a positive 12, and that would have been a plus, right? So those would have, they're going to cancel this way. These two are going to cancel this way, or they're going to cancel right here this way. And that would have been a plus. Hopefully that didn't add to confusion. All right, y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 x. Minus a negative is plus 12/5. Okay? Now I need to add 5 to both sides. Y equals negative 3/5 x plus 12/5 and 5, right? If I was going to turn 5 into a fraction, it would be 5 over 1. Now I need these to have like denominators so that I can add them together, right? Because when we multiply, they don't need to have like denominators. We just multiply straight across and we get negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 5 times 1 is 5. However, if we're adding them, we need like denominators. How do I get a like denominator between 5 and 1? The common denominator is 5. or the least common multiple is 5. So I just multiply 1 times 5, and I'll get 5. That'll be a common denominator. And then anything I do to the bottom of the fraction, I also have to do to the top of the fraction. Y equals negative 3/5 x plus 12/5. 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 over 1 becomes 25 over 5. Let's just make sure that's true. They both equal 5, right? Now I can add straight across 12 and 25. 37. Good. So now I have y equals negative 3/5 x plus 37/5. Okay. C asks us to find the standard form. So that would be ax plus by equals c. Good. Here we have y equals x plus c. We want x and y on the same side. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to, it's a negative 3/5 x. So I'm going to add 3/5 x to both sides. Good. Now I have y plus 3/5 x equals 37/5. Okay. Now remember, it's already in ax plus b. Ax plus by. I'll switch them. 3/5 x plus y, or 1y, equals 37/5 c, right? Ax, by, c. So I just switched those. I moved that negative 3/5 x to the other side, and I put it in front of the y because it's ax plus by equals c. I also said that this can't be a fraction. How do we get rid of a fraction with the denominator of 5? We multiply everything by 5. Okay? X is being multiplied by 3, divided by 5, and then multiplied again by 5. So we get 3x. 5 is being multiplied by y. 37 is being multiplied by 5 and then divided by 5. So that looked really hard, but what you're actually doing is you're moving your x and your y to the same side, and then you're multiplying by any fractions to get rid of the fractions. You just get bigger numbers, but you don't have any fractions. Okay? So that was 3x plus 5y equals 37. And again, we can graph all three of these to make sure they are the same line. All right, so we see y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 times the quantity x minus 4. Then we have the line y equals negative 3/5 x plus 37/5. We see that that purple goes right on top of the green. And then finally, 3x plus 5y equals 37. It's the same line. I move it down here. Here we go. Black line, green line goes over it. So those are all the same line. Select all three of them. You still only have one line showing up on your graph because they are all the same line. So I know that was difficult, but that is how we do it. All right, now they're giving us the slope of negative 1/3 and the point 0, 0. 0, 0, remember, if it is the y-intercept of the line, it's going to be 0, comma b. So we do know b is 0. Or we have the y-intercept and we have a point. Y equals m x plus b. Okay, that's the slope intercept. Sorry, I jumped to slope intercept. And then our first one was point slope form. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. But my x1 and my y1 are both 0. So that becomes y minus 0 equals negative 1/3 times x minus 0, right? There's y1. There's x1. And then there's my slope. I know I kind of rushed that, okay? So you can leave it like that. Or you can say y equals negative 1/3 x by just simplifying out the zeros. And it turns out that those are the same graph, right? Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 0 is going to be the same as y equals negative 1/3 x, which is going to be the same as y minus 0 equals negative 1/3 times the quantity x minus 0, right? Because negative 1/3 times negative 0 is just going to remain 0. What about if we have a slope of 0 through 5, 8? Okay. The slope of 0 through the point 5, 8. Let's think about where 5, 8 is. Okay, the slope of 0 through 5, 8. Let's find the point 5, 8. That means left 5, up 8. Oh, gosh. And the slope of 0. Remember slope man. Okay, let's draw slope man. If the slope's going this way, it's positive. If the slope going this way, it's negative. If the slope is straight up and down, it's undefined. If a slope is flat, it's a 0 slope. So based on slope man, we know that a slope of 0 looks like that, right? A slope of 0 through 5, 8 also goes through the line 0, 8, it goes through the line 1, 8, it goes through the line 2, 8, 3, 8, 4, 8, 5, 8. Remember, x, y is how we do our points, right? What is always going to be 8, the x or the y? Y equals 8. If I put y equals 8 into a graphing calculator, I get that. Okay, so a slope of 0 is going to be a y equals. And it's going to be y equals whatever your y value of the point is. So in this case, it's 8. What if your slope is undefined between through the point negative 2, 0? A slope that's undefined is going to be straight up and down, undefined up and down. Good. Going to go through the point 0, negative 2, 0, negative 2, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, right? No matter what, we have x is negative 2. The graph of x equals negative 2 going to look like that, okay? So if your slope is undefined, x equals the x value of whatever point they give you. If your slope is 0, it's going to be the y value of whatever point they give you. If you are given only 2 points on a line, what do you need to do in order to find the equation of the line? You're going to use the slope formula. Y minus y over x minus x. Yeah? So that's how you're going to find your slope. And then you're going to use either that is your y-intercept. And so you can use y equals mx plus b if you know that's your y-intercept. Or if not, you can use your slope to find your slope. And whichever one of the points looks easier to input, and input it into the equation, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? That's what you would do. If you have your b, you can also use this because the point gave you your b and the slope formula gave you your m. Now it asks us to find the equation of the line through the pair of points. right, in slope-intercept form. So let's use that slope formula to find the slope between -2, 7 and 0, -8. First, let's define, right? We need a y2, a y1, an x2, and an x1. x1, y1, x2, y2. I want to talk about what each of these are. x1 is going to be the x value of your first point. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Y1 is going to be the y value of your first point. It doesn't matter which one you decide is your first point, but make sure your x1 and your y1 are together, okay? x2 is now the x value of your second point. That's why it's x sub 2. One more color. Y sub 2 is going to be the y value of your second point. All right? So x sub 1 is -2. Y sub 1 is 7. X sub 2 is 0. Y sub 2 is -8. All right, let's input it into the slope formula. M equals y2. Sorry. Y2 is -8 minus y1. Y1 is +7. -8, +7. Okay. On the bottom, we have x2. x2 is 0 minus x1 is -2. Note that we are subtracting a -2, okay? So include the minus sign from the equation and the negative from the number. -8 minus 7, 8 and 7, you can add them together and you get 15, but they're both negative, so it's a -15. 0 minus a -2, remember minus -2 is +2. So we have -15 halves as our slope. So we used our slope formula to find our slope. Got it? Okay. Now in slope-intercept form, y equals -15 halves x plus b. B is -8. Y equals -15 halves x minus 8 for my slope-intercept form. Now, standard form. Oh, darn it. They didn't want us to do that point. They wanted us to do this point. Anyway, we'll keep going. Standard form. Okay. Standard form of y equals -15 halves x minus 8. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So I'm going to move that over. And it's going to be +15 halves x plus y equals -8. Here's my a. So I moved that over. Comes positive. Here's my b. Here's my c. I can't have a fraction, so I'm going to multiply them all by 2. Why did I choose 2? Because 2 is what is the denominator of my fraction. If I don't want that to be a fraction anymore, I'm going to take 15. It's being divided by 2. I'm going to multiply it by 2. Those cancel. And then to keep the whole equation true, I have to do it to all other parts of the equation. So now I have 15x plus 2y equals -16. Okay? Now, let's do it with -8, 3, and 0, 6. X sub 1 is -8. Y sub 1 is 3. X sub 2 is my second x value, 0. Y sub 2 is 6. All right, so my slope is, again, I need to take y minus y over x minus x. Okay, so it's going to become 6 minus 3 over 0 minus -8. 6 minus 3 is a +3. 0 minus 8 is a +8. 0 minus -8 is a +8, right? So my slope is 3/8. If I was going to put that into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Remember, 0, 6 shows me that b equals 6. Right? That was true way back here. The y-intercept is easiest to find. It's going to be 0, comma, y-intercept. So because I have the point 0, comma 6, my y-intercept is 6. So I know my m is 3/8 and my b is 6. So slope intercept form is y equals 3/8 x plus 6. And then if I want to put that into standard form, ax plus by equals c, right? But I'm starting with y equals 3/8 x plus 6. I need to move that 3/8 x over, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides. What I get is negative 3/8 x plus y equals 6. Okay? Now I'm going to multiply it by, you can either multiply it by 8 or by negative 8. Okay? Doesn't matter. Whatever you multiply it by, you need to multiply all 3 parts by. Okay? Negative 3 times negative 8 divided by 8. Those 8's cancel and the negatives cancel, and I get positive 3 minus 8y equals, what's 8 times 6? 42? 48. Okay. Or you are also welcome to just multiply by leave more space this time. If you just want to multiply it by 8, that's fine. Good. Negative 3 is being multiplied by 8 and divided by 8. We get negative 3x plus 8y equals positive 48. Watch. Those will be the same line. Negative 3x plus 8y equals positive 48. It's going to be the same as 3x minus 8y equals negative 48. Good. Those are both in standard form. All right, now we have the point 8,1 and negative 4, negative 6. X sub 1 is 8. Y sub 1 is 1. 8 subscript 2 is negative 4. Y subscript 2 is negative 6. Slope is going to be negative 6 minus 1 divided by negative 4 minus 8. Negative 6 minus 1 is a negative 7. Negative 4 minus 8 is a negative 12, right? A negative divided by negative becomes positive, so my slope is 7/12. We want it in slope-intercept form. All right. I do not know, in this case, I do not know the y-intercept, right? So I have to start with not slope-intercept form. I have to start in point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals x. It's the second time I've done that in this video. X minus x1 times the slope, right? Pick either point you want. I'm going to pick the point that doesn't have any negatives, all right? So my y1 is going to be 1. My x1 is going to be 8, just like it is over here. But you're welcome to use x2 and y2 if they look easier, okay? Y minus y1 is 1 equals slope is 7/12 times x minus my x1 was 8. Okay? Becomes y minus 1 equals 7/12 x minus 8 times 7/12. Do you see how I changed 8 to a fraction immediately? Because I know I'm going to multiply it by 7/12. So I needed to take 7/12 and multiply it by -8. It turns into this, okay? 8 times 7 is 56. Y minus 1 equals 7/12 x. Here's a minus. 56/12. All right, I was going to say we can't simplify it, but we can simplify it a little. We can divide them both by 4. So 56 divided by 4 is 14. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. All right, so if we're just simplifying that fraction, we can change it to minus 14 thirds. Okay. Now we need to add 1 to a negative 14 thirds. Y equals 7/12 x minus 14 thirds plus 1. I'm going to change 1 to 3/3, right? 3 divided by 3 is still 1, but now they have a common denominator. So I'm going to take 3/3 and I'm going to subtract 14 thirds. What is 3 minus 14? It's -11. Good. Y equals 7/12 x minus 11 thirds. Good. So I needed to add 1. So I added 1, but the 1 I added was 3/3. Because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I wanted these to have a common denominator so that I could just subtract 14 from 3 and get -11. So that would be the slope-intercept form. And in the standard form, again, we're going to move the 7/12 over. So it's -7/12 x plus y equals -11 thirds. Multiply everything by 12, right? Good. Those cancel, and I get -7x plus 12y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4, and -11 times 4 is -44. Okay. Again, you can check, you can put that into your calculator, graphing calculator, and that into your graphing calculator, and you should get the same answer. Good. Just to review, what do you know about parallel lines? Parallel lines have the same slope. M equals M. Perpendicular. M over 1 becomes -1 over M. So we change the sign and we do the inverse or the reciprocal fraction, okay? Horizontal lines. Think about the horizon, so it's flat. Horizontal, M is 0. Vertical, up and down, undefined. Good. And the general form of horizontal, so horizontal would maybe be 5, 3, right? And then this is going to be 6, 3. So if we imagine it, what's staying the same? Y is staying the same. And then vertical again, you can make up a point. So this would be 4, 1, right? And if we go down, this would be 3, 1. Oops. Pretend like that didn't happen. That's horizontal. Horizontal is going to be y equals 3. This is vertical, right? Let's think about making up 2 points. This will be the point 4, 9. Okay, x is 4, y is 9. Here, x stays the same, but y is smaller, right? So here we have x stays the same. So for vertical, x stays the same. For horizontal, y stays the same. And what is the formula for slope? We've been using it for several problems. M is y minus y divided by x minus x. All right, guys, that's all for today. Thank you.